Oh, hello, folks. This is Steve AB4L. Well, I spent some time outside today. I covered the cellar windows. Oh, big Arctic Siberian Express coming for Thanksgiving. I thought I would get ready for winter. My back is getting better. That's not the same as healed, but I surprised myself. Now, we're going to take a little Wayback Machine trip, because while I was out there playing around, I was remembering something else, and I just did a little background search here. I've been in this area a little over 10 years. Before that, I lived in Raleigh. I was in Raleigh for quite some time, and that's where I'm going to take you. Now, I've published a video, I think it was last year, on the, I don't know, it was the 30th anniversary, whatever it was, of the first release of the Linux software operating system. And the reason why I did that is because I actually used it at NC State, courtesy of another ham radio operator. And I'm going to show you another aspect of my relationship to Linux, early Linux. And I think it's kind of, what has happened is kind of interesting. The specific version is RedHat. RedHat Software Company. RedHat Linux. So if we go here, now this is the way it is today. RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Everywhere Enterprise IT is headed, Red Hat Enterprise Linux is there. I'm not promoting anything. I'm not recommending anything. It's in case you don't know. From the public cloud to the edge, it evolves to bring flexibility and reliability to new frontiers. Slashdot.org. Today, Red Hat is becoming an official Microsoft Windows subsystem for Linux distribution. Now, I'm not going to go into this a lot, but Microsoft finally woke up that people were doing everything under the sun to be able to multi-boot their machines so that they would have like Windows 10 and Linux on the hard drives and find a way to either boot to one or the other. So they decided to get smart, since it's a x86 CPU architecture software systems, both of them. Why not figure out how somebody could be on Windows, open a virtual portal, and run Linux for some special purpose, but not really leave Windows? I mean, this is a big competition. There are a lot of people who say that with all the stringent requirements on hardware and the big licensing push and all the captivity that Microsoft has developed, they're going to go to Linux and forget Windows. See, there's a struggle that's been percolating to the top. You can use any Linux distribution inside of the Windows subsystem for Linux. Microsoft recently reminded Windows users. Even if it's not available from the Microsoft Store, see, the Microsoft Store, you have to look. You can import it by a tar file. Never mind what that is. Windows distributions come in ISO files, which are in the old CD-ROM operating file system architecture, and tar is a Linux compression system for packaging up files and file systems. But being an official distro, Red Hat, oh, wait a minute. Does Microsoft own Red Hat? No, I don't think so. I think it's owned by a competitor. Being an official distro makes it easier for Windows subsystem users to install and discover it, and then they go into why this will be the new great thing. The partnership with Red Hat. See the Red Hat? That goes way back to the beginning. Who owns Red Hat? Now keep in mind the name of that company. On October 28th, 2018, just about 5 years ago, IBM announced its intent to acquire Red Hat for $34 billion. The acquisition closed on July 9th, 2019. $34 billion for a software company. Shall I shout it again? Now keep that price tag in mind. That comes from Red Hat Wikipedia article. But it doesn't let me jump to it. Isn't that wonderful? What's the matter with them? There we go. Now they show you where they got it from. Now here's something I didn't know until I started doing this. I'm trying to see the name on the building. I have no idea where that is, but it's in Raleigh. Gee, a lot's happened since I left Raleigh. Where is the Red Hat Corp HQ building address? Let's see if it knows. There we go. I don't know. This is the first time I'm looking. 100 East Davie Street. I think that's downtown. This is the first time I'm going here. Let's go to actual maps. So here's South Blanc Street, South Wilmington Street. There's East Martin Street. Let me just go like this. There's McDowell. Now you see this Hillsborough Street right here? You see the Hillsborough Street? Keep your eye on it. And where's the Capitol building? Right there. That building was there at the time of the Civil War. So if you get on, you go down, this is the historic district, but South Wilmington Street. Let me look there. I'm just wondering, there's Duke Energy. You see what kind of skyscrapers they've built in downtown Raleigh? Now this is 100 East Davie Street. Is that right? What's the address? 100 East Davie Street. You see this? Oh, yeah. And it says energy. It says energy. And oh, it says, oh, that's what that word is. Oh! This is the first time I'm really looking. You see the word energy? Do you see the word energy? And you see this right here? You see that right there? You see that right there? I wonder if Duke Energy moved across the street. So this is the Red Hat corporate, and they were taking the name Duke Energy off of that building. I'm guessing. This is March 2022. All right, I'm having fun with it. And look at all the painting here on they're putting in some kind of fiber optic. Now, I'm having fun this way for a reason. You see the size of the building. You see how much IBM paid for it to take it in as a subsidiary. Right? You got those numbers in your head. Good. Now, who started? Look at all these stupid. It doesn't even guess. Who started Red Hat? Bob Young, a businessman, and Mark Ewing. You notice I can pronounce that name correctly? It's interesting. I went to school, all through school, with somebody named Ewing, family named Ewing. The family were all artists, so it's not the same ones. Mark Ewing, a computer geek who named the company after wearing his grandfather's red Cornell, upstate New York, lacrosse hat in college. Now, when I go to the park to climb the trail, occasionally I bump into somebody who got his degrees at Cornell. They're everywhere. I've known a whole bunch of them, Cornell graduates. You have to be pretty smart to go there, to make it all the way through. Okay, so it's either a businessman or... Now, why am I doing this? Bob Young was the businessman running a computer supply catalog business out of his home in Connecticut. He noticed a growing interest in Linux, so he began to buy Ewing's CDs. So did I. What were on the CDs? They were on that other guy's version customization of the Linux operating system. I used to buy those CDs also, as each version came out. Why would I buy the CD? Because in those days, if you had a 300 baud modem or a 1920 kilobyte baud modem. Do you realize what it would take to download the operating system? Besides, there were stores that actually sold software on CDs. Yeah, in Raleigh, RTP and all that. I'm talking about when I lived in Raleigh. Young sold out of them so many times that he and Ewing joined forces, and the Red Hat software was born in 1995 with Young, the businessman, as the CEO. The name Red Hat, I remember this, I remember that, but it became this and this, okay? For many years, Red Hat Linux was a box product sold alongside Windows, Microsoft Windows, and Lotus Notes in retail stores. That's what I just told you. I haven't read this. Like other software companies, it would release a new version every 6 months. Then you would have to, hoping the customers would buy for new features, because it was actually expanding pretty quickly. That's the reason why I was interested in Red Hat Linux, not Red Hat Enterprise Linux. While the development model was innovative, the business model wasn't, which means they didn't make enough money. So in 2001, Red Hat stopped the now pay attention to the year, 2001. Stopped the distribution of box Red Hat, its primary source of revenue, instead affirming the interest, and they sold a subscription. And I remember this, the changeover. And then there's Fedora and all that. Now, I'm introducing you to the people for a reason. Hang on. Be patient. We'll get back to Raleigh. So why don't we look up Bob Young? Oh, no. Let's look up, excuse me. Bob, where's Ewing's name? Mark Ewing, excuse me. Now down here in Wikipedia, there's the headquarters now, but what we want to do is look here. In 1993, what were computers like in 1993? You're talking about the earliest IBM PC machines. What kind of machines would Red Hat run on? Those machines. In 1994, Mark Ewing created his own Linux distribution. And it says this, repeats the stuff about that. Red Hat went public in August of 1999, achieving at the time the 8th biggest first-day gain in the history of Wall Street. Now, these two guys became the CEO, the CIO, whatever it was, right around that time. And I was living in Raleigh. Now, let me show you something. This article has multiple issues. You'll see why in a minute. He's an American computer engineer and an entrepreneur. He's the creator and originator of the Red Hat brand and the Red Hat range of Linux distributions. Now get this. the son of an IBM programmer. He attended computer camps as a child. If his father was a programmer way back then, he was probably a programmer on mainframes and also the big business computers that IBM was developing and expanding into, and spent time learning to write programs for Apollo and Commodore computers. These are pre-IBM. He graduated from Carnegie Mellon University in 1992. Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was one of the big first software and computer architecture campuses, soon to be followed by NC State in Raleigh, once they woke up and saw what was going on. Yes, NC State in Raleigh on Hillsborough Street was one of the earliest campuses for software engineering curriculum and software computer engineering curriculum. They're not the same. Oh, and look at this. Following his college education, Ewing began work as an engineer at IBM. While at IBM, he spent substantial time customizing Linux workstation installations. What was IBM doing in RTP, Research Triangle Park, North Carolina? Oh, they were building stuff like that. Oh, Shazam! Because it doesn't say where, which IBM location. RTP? RTP became the flagship for the software products and some computer products, but mainly the software products. RTP. Yeah, that's right. I once worked, how would I know? I once worked for, as a, what do you call it, for a company, and they hired me out to the IBM PC company to make, build up the stuff into the software, the image that would go onto the hard drive of the machines they were making, so that when you turned it on, there would be Windows or OS/2, whichever you bought the operating system on those machines. And next door, they were developing the hardware. But I was just, why can't I think of the word? I didn't work for IBM. I worked for another company, and then when they didn't need us, they got rid of us. Following his college education, Ewing began work as an engineer at IBM. Ewing and co-founder Bob Young named their software Red Hat after Ewing's Red Hat. At the height of the dot-com bubble, just going into 2000, Ewing briefly had, now pay attention, Ewing briefly had a net worth of $900 million. Now pay attention to the next paragraph. Ewing left Red Hat. He's almost got $1 billion. Ewing left Red Hat and co-founded the mountaineering-focused Alpinist quarterly publication in 2002. Note the year. And you remember the 2001? Note the year. They went right around the time they went public. He later began competing in desert racing and co-founded Riot Racing Team in 2008. What does that say about him? He was the genius working on the side at IBM, figuring out how to make a product to compete with IBM, if you think about it. Where do you think, I contend he was living in RTP or near RTP? Well, that would mean he would live in Chapel Hill, or he would live in Durham, or he would live in Raleigh. Where do you think, in those years leading up to this big sudden explosion of their wealth, where do you think they were doing the work to continually improve the product and come out with all those additions? It could be Chapel Hill, it could be Durham, it could be Raleigh. But pay attention that around 2002, he just said goodbye and took his money and left. You'll see, you'll see. So who's Bob Young? He's a businessman who's best known for founding Red Hat, open source. He owns the franchises for, now listen to this, Forge FC and Canadian Premier League, as well as the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He was born in Canada. He attended Trinity College in Ontario. He got his University of Ontario. Prior to that, he built a computer. We did that. Mark Ewing and Young co-founded the open source software. Now here's the thing. Red Hat was a member of the S&P 500 index before being purchased by IBM, 2019. But wait a minute. I remember this next one. This same guy, if the other guy was worth 900 million, how much do you think he was worth? Do you think he was worth probably about 900 million? They were partners. I'm guessing. Young was the CEO of Precision Hawk, a commercial drone technology company from 2015. Oh, you mean he didn't have anything to do with Red Hat? He also had co-founded the Linux Journal, which I used to subscribe to, in 1994, and in 2003 he purchased the Hamilton, Ontario, Tiger Cats of the Canadian Football League. So he did have $900 million too. Now let me show you something. Two things in Raleigh. I've already shown you the corporate headquarters, right? This one. Now, let's go to Raleigh. Hillsborough Street, Raleigh. NC State. Let's go to maps. All right. This part of North Carolina, of Raleigh, Hillsborough Street, going out of town toward Cary. This is Meredith College. And this is the fairground. NC State West Campus. What are they talking about? Hang on. What happened to, do I have that wrong? I thought this was the fairgrounds right there. Oh, I didn't. Oh, I've been out of town for so long. The Centennial Biomedical Campus, Carter Finley Stadium, the Lenovo Center. Oh shit, I don't even know what's going on anymore. And you know what this word wrote? They're tunneling under. So that, never mind. Let's go back down here. This is Hillsborough Street. And here's North Carolina State University. And I used to live right around here. I used to live right around there. And I see there's something there that wasn't there when I was there. If I went there today, I would be lost. I would be lost. Because this is all this, obviously, student housing. Those buildings were there, but boy, I don't even recognize any of this stuff. Is this the campus? Oh, here it is. This is the edge of the campus, right here. Right there, and then if you go down here, the campus is here. This is the textile school. But this new building over here, I don't know what that is. Maybe a dormitory or something. Who knows? Now, wait a minute. I just want you to locate where NC State is, and that I lived just a block or two over from it. But let's go up Hillsborough Street. And all these buildings, I wouldn't recognize them because they weren't there when I left 10 years ago. They weren't there when I left 10 years ago. Look at all this stuff. They tore down everything, almost everything. That was there. Cup of Joe was there. But look at all this stuff. What do you think they're putting in there? Students? Nice price books. I remember when that started, I used to buy stuff in there. Look at what's across the street. That wasn't there before. Now don't do that. Let's go up the street. Let's just go up the street. Look at all these traffic circles. Look at what they're doing. Of course, that probably made it easier to drive into the cross streets. This Subway shop was there. Boy, they got a lot of extra power lines here. Now, I'm going to point out something. You see that building? That one right there? Alsco uniforms. See that building right there? See that building right there? This one right here. See that building right there? See that building right there? Now look at what's here. See the big power substation? See, I know what's there. What do you think was in this building before 2002? Between the 1994 and the 2002, when RedHat Linux and Linux in general, but RedHat Linux was growing, developing, adding more features, deciding that they weren't making enough money. Do you think they were they were in that big office tower downtown? They were in here. They were in here. Yeah, that's right. They were in here. Why would they come and get in an old factory building like that? It wasn't the uniforms company back then. They got it cheap because there was no occupant. And who was working in there doing all that development stuff part-time? Who do you think? Who do you think? Do you think it was people who were like graduate students at NC State campus? With all the computer labs over there? And the computer engineering and the software engineering departments that were starting to try to compete with Carnegie Mellon up there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for notoriety and output, and the grants were coming into those departments. They were world famous. Why wouldn't you locate your software company next to them and hire students, to grad students there? What do you think? Do I know that for a fact? No, but I'll bet you that's what happened. Wouldn't you like to make extra money when you're not studying? Just go up the street like this from the regular campus. Now I'm going to show you something else. Let's go down Hillsborough Street. Be patient with me. These traffic circles, they weren't there. This is a big to-do thing, I don't know. And these buildings weren't there. The ones on the left, that one I just showed you, but this stuff here, this wasn't here. Now hang on, just hang on. See that gas station building? That was there. See that building there? That was there. Those buildings were there. Oh, I'm sorry, you can tell that building was there before. Why? Because it's not a high-rise apartment building like this crap over here. Let's just keep going. This is the edge of campus. We were there before, right? If you go to the right down there, you go over to get to Western Boulevard on the other side of the NC State campus and WRAL and all that stuff down there. Now, where am I going? Another traffic circle. Oh, come on. I hope I don't get lost. Am I getting lost? Hang on here. Hang on. Now, this is Hill Library. That was the library when I worked at NCSU in the 1980s and early 1990s. That was Hill Library. But there's the Centennial campus that was developed, and I think that's where the real library is now. Now, why am I going down Hillsborough Street? I'm looking for a particular intersection. We're still going past State College, old State College campus. This was a land-grant university started after the Civil War, federal program to train farmers, agriculture, and textiles too. Develop the kind of industries that America could be strong at. Have I got to where I want to go yet? Nope. We'll know it when we get there. Isn't it beautiful? It's kind of a mixture of, now I want to be sure I'm in the right place. I think we got to go a little bit further. Hang on, be patient with me. Yep. See the clock tower? See the clock tower? See the clock tower? It's famous for that. Oh, they got a traffic circle here too? Oh, that's terrific. I think we want to go over here. Have I got the right one? Let me go to the map. Oh, great! What am I going to do? Pullman Park. Did I go in the wrong direction? Now, hang on. See, we just came from up this way. And I want to look at it. It's so complicated. I can hardly. Oh, that's why. Okay, here we go. Let's go there. There's the clock tower. See, it's all different now. And we want to go over here. Now, if I were there, I would be confused. So much of this has changed, but this is still the same. Why am I going up this road? Now, you saw where the factory building was, where they really ran the company and really made all the software and all the stuff on Hillsborough Street. And this is called Oberlin Road. Now, you have to stay with it. That was there. That was there. I don't want to get off of Oberlin Road. These buildings weren't there 10 years ago. Not there 10 years ago. Okay, now, there's the Harris Teeter. That used to be a post office building, but I don't know if they tore it all down or they simply redid the face. But it's completely different than it was back then. That was the post office building. But the Harris Teeter is still there. And a lot of the stuff that you're going to see up here was just beginning to be built when I left. And why are we going up Oberlin Road like this? Why am I running? And we're going to cross over Wade Avenue. We're going to cross over Wade Avenue. Look at this beautiful stuff they got here. That wasn't there. That building wasn't there. That was there. See, now we're getting into a residential neighborhood. Now, we haven't gone more than a mile. Stick with me. Stick with me. Stick with me. That church is famous. This church is famous. The Wilson Temple United Methodist Church. Freed slaves started it. Oh, that would be like 1865. Yeah, this part of Raleigh was a plantation, the edge of a plantation. They used to work on the plantation. But then they didn't have to do that. They had built their houses there. They built the church there. And this is where you get on Wade Avenue. That's how, when I used to go and work in RTP, I used to get on Wade Avenue there and go out and get on 40 and go up there. Now, you see how residential it looks? And now they're giving us the view of February 2016. Oh, that's interesting that it switched like that. It remembers me doing it before. Oh, that's interesting. See, it hasn't changed that much. See the kind of houses that are here? Pay attention. Things haven't changed. Things haven't changed much. Now, you'll notice that the houses are getting a little bigger. And the place I want to show you, I want you to see what kind of houses. You see the house over here? You see the house over here? I think that was Bob Korn's house. He used to own a TV repair business. He was a ham radio operator. I knew him. Now, do you see this? Do you see this right here? You see that house? There's actually two houses here. See this entrance? Now look, it's not part of this. You see this entrance right here? There's another entrance right here. Right here. See that entrance? And what is, there's a loop, and there's two houses there. Now they're showing it for April 2022. We're talking about what's in here. One of those two guys who owned that was, I'm guessing, was actually not this one, but the other one. Yeah, that's right. While they were building up, making up all that money, really going hot to build up toward 2002 when they both would have about $900 million. It was a short drive to work from here to the factory building on Hillsborough Street with all the student programmers at the moment. Now, why would I know this? Let's go a little further. Why would I know this? We're coming up on a church. This is a very large church property. I want you to see what it looks like across the street. You see that big mansion back there? I want you to understand what kind of neighborhood it was 100 years ago. Remember, we passed the Baptist church that the freed people started, and now we've gone a quarter of a mile? I told you it used to be a plantation. And there's a nice big church here, and I mean that sincerely, the White Memorial Presbyterian Church. And they have a huge property. And the folk in that congregation I experienced with them are wonderful. So now we're getting up to an intersection. We're getting up to an interest. This building was there. The fire station that was here got torn down, and they built a better one. This thing here, this building was there. It was a dry cleaner, and this was a series of businesses that are very different turnover on restaurants like that. And then you see this here, all this torn down. Let's take a more dates thing. Let's go back to like 2016. I used to live in that complex before I came out here. I used to live in that complex. That was started at the end of the Depression in the late 1930s when they built the first units. And then everything was put on hold for the Second World War. But then after the Second World War, with people with more money and Raleigh being kind of a magnet, they expanded it. Now, a friend of mine who used to live north of Raleigh and in 1932-33 used to drive his Model T or something like that into Raleigh from Wake Forest, look it up on the map. The way he would get gas money in order to support buying the gasoline to get into the NC State campus to go to school to get a bachelor's degree in 1932 and 33 like that, with the big depression starting. He used to go down another road that's parallel to the one we're on, down to an orphanage, and he'd bring fresh eggs because they were out in the countryside and his family owned stores at a crossroad, and they used to get all the farm produce in the area aside from what they grew themselves, and he raised chickens, and he used to stop there and they used to pay him by the egg, like a nickel an egg or something like that. And that's how he got gas money. And he told me that this road here, when he was going to NC State in 1932, was a gravel road. And that this place where I lived was a cow pasture. Because it was almost way out of town, like Old State College was. It's an agricultural college. It wasn't in downtown historic Raleigh. Yeah, it was only a mile out of town, but it was out of town. It isn't anymore. So what I'm telling you is, one of those two guys, with his $900 million, at the point where they were starting to really be rich, lived. See, they clicked it back to the present time. Lived in here. See, there's one gate, I showed you where the other one. Pardon me for boring you. Now, I'm going to do something. Let's decide which of those two properties was where the president, big guy, had lived. Now watch. Wake County GIS. I checked this out. We want the IMAPS system. Let's see if I can get in there and go to IMAPS. And we agree to their terms. Now, there's an equivalent for where I'm living too. And there's Wake County. And then we have to zoom in. And it's a good thing I know where I'm going, right? There's Raleigh. And there's, all right, let me zoom in. Let me orient myself. There's Atlantic Avenue. There's Wade Avenue. Here's Oberlin Road. right here. Oh no, that's Glenwood Avenue. Pardon me, we got to go over a little bit further. That was the parallel street I talked about. There's Oberlin Road right there. Nice map, isn't it? So here's Oberlin Road. And I said we go past Wade Avenue. Wade Avenue, I would get on and go out to RTP when I was a technician working to be hired out. And the place where I used to live was this stretch right here. And you can see that it's kind of underdeveloped. You see how empty it is here? The road traces are still there. And this is where the fire station is, right there. City of Raleigh. They don't tell you what it is. So it used to be a fire station. Maybe it's being used for something else. So we go back. And what's this one here? It's a church. And it's the White Memorial Presbyterian Church of Raleigh. All right? And so the property that we're interested in, where I claim one of the two billionaire guys, when they made the decision, both of them personally, to just say, let's just live our lives. We've got $1 billion. I've got $1 billion. But up until that point, one of them was living either in this property or this property. You see, the gate would be here, the gate would be there, and I said there were two properties here. It's somebody owns that now. Who it is really immaterial. Somebody owns that right now. Now watch what I do. I'm going to correctly identify which property it was that the billionaire was living in and left to go do other things in life instead of worry about all the things that happen every day with a software product, where all these people are calling up saying, what the hell did you do here? Why doesn't this work? So let's click on the other property with the swimming pool. Hang on. Now I'm showing you why they paid me the big money. When I was working, I'm showing you why they paid me the big money. I never did groupthink. I did my way of doing things. Oh, I'm senile now, but that doesn't matter. Somebody is a trustee of that property. If you were a billionaire and that's where you lived when you made the billion, would you really just sell it? Or could you afford to, well, but I'm going to go off to the mountains, I'm going to do this and that, I'm going to be a world traveler, I don't remember which, or I'm going back to Canada. But you know what? That's where I was living while we were working that factory building up there on Hillsborough Street, building up a billion-dollar company, multi-billion-dollar company. Now watch. I love the search engine. Seems Google search knows who he is. Bar admissions, North Carolina, 1967, United States Tax Court, 1967, education, University of North Carolina School of Law, Chapel Hill. But that means he might be a Raleigh native. I don't think he was from Chapel Hill. And he got a bachelor's degree, and so he did everything at Chapel Hill. He got his bachelor's degree, and then he went to law school. He used to work for the IRS, 1967, 1971. He's in the Wake County Bar Association, North Carolina by it. He's one of the super lawyers, the best lawyers in America. Best law firms, U.S. News and World Report, blah, 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 blah. He's a major partner, senior partner, in a major legal firm, Nichols and Compton, PA, attorneys at law. At Nichols and Compton, PA, we provide wide-ranging legal services to individuals, families, and business owners in Raleigh, North Carolina, and surrounding area. Is that why that law firm is the trustee of the property? Because somebody has to take care of the taxes and look after stuff? Now let's look at something interesting. Remember, I copied this. What's his actual address given on the tax base? That's what this map is. Property ownership, valuation, tax base. Let's take a look at the address that is on register. Now, just for the fun of it, what's their address? I don't know. Contact. I didn't look at this before. Their location. Okay, this is good. I told you Glenwood Avenue was that other one. Let's go here. That's 3700 Glenwood Avenue. First of all, in terms of the map, let me show you where it is. Let me show you where it is. Let me back the map off. See, these are always adventures. Here's Oberlin Road. Here's Oberlin Road. Keep going. Go down the road, past Fairview Avenue, past the middle school. Go down to the end of Oberlin Road, and there's Glenwood Avenue. Okay? Now, I don't know what the addresses here are at Glenwood Avenue. Doesn't mean anything. But that's Glenwood Avenue. And Glenwood Avenue runs from downtown Center City, Raleigh, out to Crabtree Mall. Do you think his office is downtown or out at Crabtree Mall? So let's see where this is. I haven't done this before. I'm going to guess downtown. I was wrong. He got into one of those big high-rises that they built around the time I was there near Crabtree Mall. See? Crabtree Valley. What are they showing me here? Are they showing me nonsense? Here's the building. There it is. There we go. So what's across the street? You can't even see across the street. It's in an office park just before you get to Crabtree Mall. That seems appropriate for what their business is. Okay, so they're not courthouse lawyers. Otherwise, their offices would be down near the court buildings, which are right down in the center of the town, as they have been since before the Civil War, where the legislature building is. And some of the law schools that came in and did, actually the law schools are located in other parts of North Carolina, but they want to have an annex down there to get all the kind of people that are coming into Raleigh that wouldn't go out to the sticks where the law school is, even though they have a wonderful reputation. Oh, wait a minute. I wanted to show you something. So for the tax base, they're not on Glenwood Avenue. They're someplace on Six Forks Road, which is more to the east, but parallel, kind of. And that's been a big development all the way going along. So if I copy this and I ask where does the trustee pick up his mail for that nice property next to the White Memorial Church property, right there on next to where the old plantation was, right there on, it's in North Hills. That was an up and coming part of so it says that it's near the I remember the Bonefish Grill. I remember the Bonefish. That was there. So it's in here. Oh, look at these buildings. Now you're wondering why I'm doing this. We want to go in here. We want to go in here. Because this is where it is. Yeah, you can have mailboxes there. It's in some place like that. That's where he picks up his mail. For that tax-based purposes. Got it? Art source, fine art, and framing. Can you hear the siren? 4421-123. So the building stores have designations, and that one there is 4421-123. Okay, 4441. So what did I do? Did I get into the wrong place? Let's go for this one. Brothers Cleaners. Well, Brothers Cleaners has been in, they're on 4441. Hang on. 4441 STE suite. And this suite is 106 to 156. But it doesn't give but the point is it's in here. Walgreens, 441. Oh, suite 110. That's suite 110. This is why they pay me the big money. Suite 110. So it says that it's in a building with suites 106 to 156. So in one of these places, and I suspect it's this one, is where he picks up the mail for things having to do with the trusteeship of the property that used to be, is still owned by, used to be owned by where one of the two billionaires that built up the billionaires doing RedHat Linux software lived on Oberlin Road. Eighth of a mile from where I was living, while I was living there. And they were doing all that stuff up in the Hillsborough Street, in what is now a uniform place, but used to be an old factory building they could get real cheap rent. I knew somebody who worked there, part-time student. How long have I been doing this? See, I like these little adventures. It's reminiscing. It's fun. I told you, if I drove up and down Hillsborough Avenue now, I would get lost. It's changed so much. But certain parts of it, I would be able to orientate myself on because I pointed to buildings that were there, including businesses that were there, that I used to go in and buy stuff. And although that pizza and sandwich shop isn't the same name, that's where I used to go and get my hoagies. Oh, wait a minute, they don't call them hoagies. They call them submarines. I must have spent time in Philadelphia. Not just Raleigh. See, I'm just having fun. Red Hat is becoming an official Microsoft Windows subsystem for Linux. The growth continues. But the guys who started it have long since. Who, did you notice about their? Did you notice something about their articles? Did you notice something about the articles? This is the final note. For somebody that turned into be an important software engineer, entrepreneur, ended up as a billionaire, look at how little they know about him. Look at how little they know about him. And the other guy, they actually know a little bit more about him. They made their money and they said, Steve A. before you. I mean, this guy owns the Canadian Premier League. Look at how little they know about him. Steve A. before you, just having fun, reminiscing a little bit, Wayback Machine, saying, see you in 73. My old neighborhood, see you in 73.